Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Soul Land 2 episode number 115 based on novel. So let's start. The two of you have passed the qualifying round, and we will begin the first official round tomorrow. We will directly enter elimination rounds, and every elimination round will cut the total headcount by a third, until a champion is crowned. Here, these are your proofs for passing the qualifying round. The two of you can use them to claim your prizes for this round. The old man passed over 2 badges made from pure gold as he spoke. There were numbers on each badge. Huo Yuhao's number was 71, while He Kai-tu's number was 72. He Kai-tu pushed Huo Yuhao's wheelchair and they departed under the old man's watchful and respectful gaze. How can it be over so quickly? Have they withdrawn from the contest because they know they can't pass? Some people were annoying and irritating, especially if they were born with a snickering and sneering face. The middle-aged man that was throwing shade at Huo Yuhao before this took the opportunity and popped out of nowhere. Huo Yuhao smiled and opened his right hand. I just want to know where I can redeem my prize. The middle-aged man noticed the golden badge in Huo Yuhao's hand just as he was mocking him sarcastically. He seemed like a duck that was grasped by the neck, and his voice stuck in his throat. That's impossible. How long did you guys take? You guys cheated. Huo Yuhao answered solemnly, you have to be responsible for your words. The old man in yellow came over hurriedly at this moment. I'm terribly sorry, my two honored guests. This is a misunderstanding. Hurry and apologize to them. Great King. Great King? That's a great name. Huo Yuhao spoke with a faint grin on his face. The middle-aged man's expression didn't look so good, and it appeared to change color again and again. He grunted coldly and turned around to leave. Don't go. There's something else I want to discuss with you. Huo Yuhao suddenly spoke to him. Great King was momentarily stunned. He turned around and forcefully suppressed the complicated emotions riling up his mind as he asked, what else needs to be said? Huo Yuhao continued, I imagine I'm going to lose the wager that I've just made. Do you remember what I said to you before this? Great King's face instantly changed. He hadn't thought too much of it when Huo Yuhao had threatened him before with a smile on his face, as he didn't believe that this fellow in the wheelchair could pass this round of the competition. However, the yellow-clothed old man had confirmed that the two brothers had both passed this round within such a short period of time. He was very clear about what this meant. Even though he was arrogant, sneering, and sarcastic by nature, he wasn't a fool. He was sharply aware that Huo Yuhao wasn't a person that he could afford to offend, and he himself was only a soul elder after all. The contest isn't over. How do you know that you can't win the wager? Great King's voice was a little shaky and fearful. Huo Yuhao smiled and said, I know I can't win just by looking at your face. Are you telling me that you haven't done something to my wager? I remember I saw you walk out before this. Great King took a few steps back subconsciously. Huo Yuhao lowered his head instead as he muttered under his breath, my best virtue is that I always honor my word. Huo Yuhao suddenly looked up as he spoke, and he pushed out his right hand towards Great King. Don't do it, sir. The old man called out hastily, but he was too late in the end. Boom. A flower that resembled some of the red and white decorations around the green hotel bloomed, and Great King's head instantly split open like an exploding watermelon. Huo Yuhao was behaving as if he hadn't done anything at all. He wore a pitiful and regrettable expression on his face as he said, I hope you can be the king of great kings in your next life. The sudden incident immediately triggered intense and vigorous gasps of astonishment. This was one of the Duskwater Alliance's strongholds, and it was unimaginable that anybody would have the courage to murder someone in a place like this. Furthermore, this murder was executed in such a brutal and barbaric fashion. The other guests descended into hysteria, and numerous men dressed in black quickly surrounded Huo Yuhao. The yellow-clothed invigilator and the manager that led them from the hotel door were also part of this group. It didn't take long before they surrounded Huo Yuhao and He Kai-tu, forming a very tight circle around them. Huo Yuhao grunted coldly and said plainly, do all of you wish to die? Huo Yuhao began to chant incomprehensibly as he spoke. He Kai-tu took a step horizontally, and a series of metal clanging sounds could be heard as he transformed into a frightening metal fortress. Several hundred soul cannons were coldly pointing all around him, and the aura he released was so terrifying that it immediately caused the thugs that were about to close in on them to retreat in fear. Stop! What's happening? A deafening shout broke the silence. A human figure descended from the sky immediately afterwards, 3 yellow and 2 purple soul rings sparkling as this person landed in the middle of everyone. The wings from the soul tool on his back folded up. He drew a cold breath when he witnessed the soul cannon fort that He Kai-tu had transformed into. He was a Class 5 soul engineer, and he was all too clear as to what he was looking at. He realized that even typical Class 6 soul cannon forts weren't as formidable as this one in front of him. Calm down, everyone. I'm Chen En, the Golden Great Hall supervisor. Can someone tell me what just happened? The old man that had watched Hu Yuhao and He Kai-tu came forward hurriedly and whispered something into Chenen's ear. Chenen's face turned black as he turned towards Hu Yuhao, and then his expression changed once more. He saw that Hu Yuhao's eyes were ghastly grey in color, as if there wasn't an ounce of life and vitality at all, and he felt as if his spirit was being sucked away when their gazes met. His body trembled vigorously as he took a few steps backwards in horror. However, when he looked at Hu Yuhao again, he realized that his eyes had become clear once more, as if everything that he had seen in the previous instant was but a hallucination. A voice suddenly appeared in his head. If you want this place to be riddled with bodies, so be it. Otherwise, you know what to do. This voice disappeared as soon as it appeared. In the next moment, a scene surfaced in his head. Chenin saw the exploding heads of the men in black around him, and he seemed to descend into a mountain of corpses and an ocean of blood. The headless corpses slowly got to their feet, and swiftly transformed into zombies as they crazily assaulted everyone around them. It didn't take long before there wasn't a single other living soul besides the terrifying youth in the wheelchair and the muscular man standing beside him. The intense fear caused Chenin's body to quiver uncontrollably, but the image that surfaced in his mind receded in an instant. His eyes widened, but all he could see were his subordinates' doubtful gazes, and the youth in the wheelchair that was still staring at him with a pair of bright and clear eyes. You are, Chenin blurted. Hu Yuhao answered plainly, Great King went after my wager with underhanded methods, and his words were provocative and condescending. Did he bring his own death upon himself? Chenin chomped down on the tip of his tongue and instantly cleared his mind. He had outstanding composure, mental quality, and stability to be able to direct the Golden Great Hall, and his expression changed once again. This time, he was a lot more respectful than before. You're right, my dear guests. Great King violated the Duskwater Alliance's rules, and he attacked you foolishly. He has committed a crime, and he cannot be forgiven. Someone take his body away and feed his corpse to the dogs. Don't stand around, everyone. Go back and do what you're supposed to be doing. Chenin withdrew the soul rings on his body as he spoke, but he didn't dare to look Hu Yuhao in the eyes anymore. The Duskwater Alliance was an underground organization, and these underground organizations were sometimes much more efficient and versatile with their operations compared to other, more legitimate corporations. Chenin was the Golden Great Hall supervisor, and he was also a relatively powerful Soul King. He wielded extraordinary authority and influence in this place, and he was also the qualifying round's chief judge. His subordinates began to move right after he finished his sentence, some people moving to keep things in order, while some other people went ahead to clean up the mess. It didn't take long before Great King's body and the mess around it vanished without a trace. Chenin lowered his voice and asked Hu Yuhao, Can we speak somewhere in private? All right. Hu Yuhao's answer was simple and straightforward. I have 2 other servants. Can you ask someone to call them over? I'll arrange for that immediately. Chenin whispered something to one of his subordinates, and that person hurriedly turned around and left. Follow me, my valued guests. Chenin turned around to lead the way as he spoke. Hu Yuhao nodded his head gently, and He Kai-tu pushed the wheelchair as they followed behind Chenin. Hu Yuhao's eyes closed into squints, and his spiritual detection swiftly expanded around him and covered almost the entire place in an instant. There were several relatively formidable auras within the Golden Great Hall, but they were not enough to threaten his life. This was only the qualifying round after all, and high-level soul masters and soul engineers couldn't be found just anywhere. They weren't inside Shrek Academy, after all. Chenin led them to a small door at the side and exited the Golden Great Hall. They moved through a magnificent walkway, but they didn't have to travel for long before Chenin opened another door on the side and invited the 2 of them in. The room was several hundred square meters in surface area, and the walls were covered in solid wood. The room's golden style and layout was not at odds with this underground world. Please sit, Chenin spoke as he stood beside a luxurious sofa. Hu Yuhao answered, There's no need for that. You can just say whatever you want to. Chenin's eyes shifted as he lowered his voice and said, If I may ask, are you guys from? He paused without finishing his sentence. Hu Yuhao said plainly, This is the end of your life. Looks like you had it easy. Go, be purified. White light lit up in his eyes as he spoke, and the twisting light projection immediately paused and became a lot clearer than before. The Great King! Chenin exclaimed. The projection looked exactly like King Wan. The light projection shone with white light circles as it gradually dissipated, and King Wan's expression finally became one of peace and acceptance as he swiftly vanished into thin air. Chenin's face was ghastly pale at this moment, and his body quivered as well. Hu Yuhao said, Do you want to test me again? Chenin wiped the cold sweat from his forehead, and he bent down as he replied respectfully, No, there's no need. Hu Yuhao continued, You have to keep the 2 of us being here a secret. You can't tell anyone at all. Do you understand? The truth is we are here of our own accord, since it's nice to earn some money while claiming some rare metals for ourselves. Of course, you guys can make some money at the same time. We will only survive if we both reap benefits at the same time, don't you think? Yes. Chenin hurriedly followed Hu Yuhao's lead. Hu Yuhao nodded and said, Then you should give us what we are owed today. We will return for the next round. Chenin asked, Do you need us to do anything else? Hu Yuhao waved his hand and said, I don't need you to do anything else. What we eventually achieve in the contest is entirely up to our own abilities. You've seen what happened to King Wan. If someone else tries to mess around with me or provoke me, that person's outcome won't be as easy as what happened to King Wan. I believe most people haven't had their spirits tortured before. Whoever has to find out will probably remember the sensation on their shattered spiritual imprint for eternity. Chenan shivered involuntarily and said, "Don't worry, I will restrain my subordinates to the best of my ability, and I will definitely adhere to your requests. We won't pass this on within the Duskwater Alliance, and everything will go according to your command." Huo Yuhao nodded his head satisfactorily. "Looks like you're a smart one. Intelligent people tend to live longer." "Thank you for the compliment, sir." Chenan's expression became a little more relaxed, but he was still radiating fear and trepidation. Huo Yuhao said, "All right, my people have returned. We'll make a move first." Knocking sounds could be heard before he finished his sentence. The door opened, and one of Chenan's subordinates led Wang Donga and Nana into the room. Wang Donga heaved a sigh of relief when she saw Huo Yuhao in the room. Huo Yuhao said to Chenan, "We won't claim our money today, but we will take everything when we return. I can reveal some things to you. My brother and I are both Class 6 soul engineers, and I believe we can be considered some of the very best in this wretched place. Therefore, you can do whatever you like with the wages to make your profits, but I want my share. I don't care about the money, but those 100,000 golden soul coins are my capital, and you will be responsible for changing my money into rare metals. The more the better." "Yes, yes." Chenan acknowledged once more. "All right, let's go." Wang Donga came forward hurriedly to take Huo Yuhao's wheelchair from He Kaitu's hands, and began to push him outside. Huo Yuhao raised his hand for her to stop when they were almost at the door, and he said without turning around, "Chenan, if everything goes according to plan, and if you do everything properly, I will reward you after this contest is finished. If you're willing, it's even possible if you wish to become a part of us. Of course, there's a price to pay, but the returns that you shall receive will be worth a lot more." Chenan was a little taken aback, but he became elated in the next moment as he took a few brisk steps forward and knelt down with one knee beside Huo Yuhao. "Thank you for the link-up, sir. I will find you again before the contest. You will collate the inventory of metals that will be used for rewards in every round, and you will also give me a list of the bets that have been placed." "Yes." Huo Yuhao waved his hand once more, and Wang Donga pushed him out at once. Chenan escorted him out personally, and he directed them all the way to a set of escalators that brought them back to one of the Green Hotel's simpler levels. "All right, that's enough. You don't have to send me any further. Remember what I've told you. If my father finds out about me, you know the rest. If that happens, then you will become part of my strength. Your wish is my command. I will definitely follow your orders." Chenan acknowledged hurriedly. "Let's go." Huo Yuhao waved his hand, and the company exited the Green Hotel. Once they were past the main door, He Kaitu couldn't help but ask, "What were the two of you talking about so mysteriously back there?" "We'll talk about it when we get back, brother." Huo Yuhao hurriedly interrupted He Kaitu's words, and a voice appeared in He Kaitu's head. He Kaitu felt his heart skip a beat, and he quickly shut his mouth and said nothing more. The four of them gradually disappeared into the night. Huo Yuhao relied on his imitation and brought everyone back into the brilliant Delight Hotel. His expression became a lot more relaxed, and Wang Donga helped everyone remove their makeup once they returned to his room. He Kaitu said, "You can speak now, little junior brother. You actually gave me a scare when you lashed out just now." Huo Yuhao said ponderously, "We didn't waste our efforts today, and I've figured some things out. It's no wonder that the Academy could never find traces of the Holy Ghost Church after they appeared. It seems like they've been hiding themselves like that." He Kaitu was momentarily stunned. "Are you saying it's likely that the Dusk River Alliance has something to do with the Holy Ghost Church?" Huo Yuhao answered, "It's not just likely, they definitely have something to do with the Holy Ghost Church. Actually, their name had already aroused my suspicions. According to Elder Xian's description, one of the Holy Ghost Church's most powerful individuals has a similar name. That's the reason why I had my suspicions, and the probing that I did before was also because of that. I imitated an evil soul master's abilities, and that frightened Chenan. You saw how reverent he was to me after that, and it's obvious that he believes we're from the Holy Ghost Church. That respect is also for the Holy Ghost Church, and this proves the Duskwater Alliance's connection with the Holy Ghost Church. It's no wonder that the Holy Ghost Church hid themselves so well, what with Radiant City's #1 underground organization covering them. With the Duskwater Alliance's power and influence, they are definitely one of the Holy Ghost Church's most important branches, if they aren't part of the Church's core existence." Wang Donga frowned and said, "Doesn't that mean it's too dangerous for us to continue on in the competition?" Huo Yuhao shook his head with a smile on his face. "No, it doesn't. This contest is aimed at raking in profits, and it doesn't mean much to the Holy Ghost Church's core existence. The Church is focused on the Continental Elite Youth Soul Master Tournament. Haven't you guys seen the people that they've sent to participate in the tournament? Their energies aren't channeled toward the Duskwater Alliance, so it's natural that they aren't paying much attention to their events. We are quite safe. Furthermore, the Dusk River Alliance is ultimately one of the Church's branches, and they are just a front for earning money and covering their identities, so the Holy Ghost Church won't send high-level individuals to watch over the Alliance. The Green Hotel is quite important to the Dusk River Alliance, but the hotel supervisor is just a Soul King, and he's not even an evil Soul Master." Wang Donga became a little more relieved as she listened to Huo Yuhao's seamless analysis. She nodded and said, "So, we're still participating in the subsequent rounds?" Huo Yuhao tilted his head and said, of course. We have to get our rare metals from this contest, and we don't even have to become champions. Isn't it fun and interesting to stir things up within Radiant City's underground organizations? Don't worry, Donga, I will make sure that I return safely, not just for myself, but also for you guys. He Kaitu stood up and patted Huo Yuhao on the shoulder. It's getting late, little junior brother. Your body isn't in good shape, so you should hurry up and get some rest. Nana also stood up to take her leave. Wang Donga helped Huo Yuhao onto the bed after everyone left, and she brought some warm water to wash his hands and face. Huo Yuhao's body was overflowing with ice-type origin energy of heaven and earth, so the parts of his body that were immobile didn't get dirty at all, so there was no need for her to wash those areas. You're too exhausted, Yuhao. Wang Donga slipped into his embrace, and felt the chilly aura emanating from his body as she whispered to him. Huo Yuhao smiled and said, the main reason why you don't want me to continue on in the competition is because you're concerned about me, right? Actually, how can you not tell how safe we are with your intelligence and our abilities? Yes, Wang Donga agreed softly. Huo Yuhao said, I promise you, Donga, that I will have a good rest when we go back. I will make sure my body recovers completely before I set off to do anything else. However, our journey to Radiant City is very important to the Academy, to the Tang sect, and even to how the continent's political backdrop is going to turn out over the next few years. I need to be at my best to deal with everything, and it's worth it even if I get a little tired in the process. Wang Donga was slightly taken aback. I understand if you say that you're doing this for the Academy and for the Tang sect. But aren't you exaggerating a little about the continent's political situation? Huo Yuhao shook his head and said, I keep feeling as if something's not right. The Sun Moon Empire has expanded the people allowed to participate in the competition, and I've been feeling a little more stifled than the last competition, as if something is about to happen. Ever since my spiritual power ascended into the concrete immaterial realm, I've developed a sort of clairvoyance. If I'm not wrong, the Sun Moon Empire will definitely carry out some operation during or after the competition. The only problem is that I can't tell anything yet at the moment, but I'm sure they will drop clues as the tournament progresses. I'm not sure what we can do for now, but anything that's not good for the Sun Moon Empire is beneficial for us. Wang Donga nodded and replied, but, your body. Huo Yuhao smiled and said, you don't have to worry about my body. I have a secret weapon. Wang Donga was momentarily stunned. Secret weapon? What is it? Why don't I know about it? Huo Yuhao grinned mysteriously and said, that's a secret. I'll tell you if you kiss me 10,000 times. The second elimination round of the Continental Advanced Youth Soul Master Tournament had ended. 42 teams advanced to the third round. Among those 42 teams, only 32 of them could enter the round-robin stage. That would be dependent on their performance in the third elimination round. Victory would ensure progression into the round-robin stage. Even if they failed, they still had an opportunity to fight for points in an additional qualifier round. After the last two elimination rounds, some of the weaker teams were showing signs of fatigue even though they had made it through. Their team members were hurt, and there were fewer of them who could compete, along with other reasons that weakened their chances of progressing in future rounds. These constituted huge problems for them. Such problems didn't exist for the Tang sect. However, the atmosphere within the sect became tenser after the lot drawing for the third elimination round was completed. Shu Sancha lowered his head to look at his right hand, and a weird expression appeared on his face. Huo Yuhao patted his shoulder and said, Third senior, it's fine. You can't be blamed. Jiang Nannan looked gloomy. You still dared to volunteer to draw the lot even though your luck is bad. Everyone's expression was also very weird and serious at the same time. Huo Yuhao chortled, it's just Team Sun Moon. Years ago, we also defeated them even though we were just members of the preparatory squad. Don't tell me that we are scared today even though we've improved significantly since 5 years ago. Yes, Shu Sanchi's luck was pretty bad, as he had managed to draw the Sun Moon Imperial Soul Engineering Academy's team in the third elimination round. This was only the elimination round, it wasn't the finals yet. There would still be many rounds and stages after this round. It was going to be tough no matter the outcome, which would affect their energy in the future rounds even if they won. Fortunately, defeat didn't mean direct elimination. Hikaitu nodded and said, Yuhao is right. In fact, we can advance through the additional qualifiers. Even if we don't risk everything against them, we can still enter the round-robin stage. At most, our ranking will become worse, but that's all. Xiao Xiao was displeased. Do we really have to give up against them? No, we mustn't. Huo Yuhao turned his gaze towards his teammates, and all he saw were their determined faces. Jiang Nannan said in a firm voice, yes, we must not give up. Even though it's unwise, we shouldn't bow down in front of the Sun Moon Imperial Soul Engineering Academy. Although we're representing the Tang sect, we are also from Shrek Academy. Shrek Academy never loses to the Sun Moon Imperial Soul Engineering Academy. It is especially true since we're representing the Tang sect in this edition of the tournament, and Shrek might not be able to last all the way until the finals. Yuhao, I wish to fight to protect Shrek's glory. I'm willing too, Shu Sancha said dryly as he stopped looking at his hand. Get lost, you unlucky chap. Jiang Nannan rolled her eyes at him. Xiao Xiao said determinedly, I also hope to fight for Shrek and the Tang sect's glory. Hikaitu immediately added, I'll give my best as long as everyone is willing. Out of the 7 of them, 4 had already expressed their stand. Nana's status in Tang sect couldn't compare to Shrek's 7 monsters. Everyone's gaze was focused on Wang Dong and Hua Yuhao. Hua Yuhao opened his mouth and wanted to say something. However, he was stopped by a gentle hand on his shoulder. Wang Donga took a step forward. She stood in front of Hua Yuhao's wheelchair. 2nd senior, 3rd senior, 4th senior, 5th senior. I agree with all of your thinking. However, have you thought of one point? If we go all out against them, we must treat victory as our goal. In that way, how much fighting strength can we conserve even if we beat the Sun Moon team? We don't have any substitutes. Eldest senior's injury hasn't recovered either. All of you know about Yuhao's current condition too. Shrek and the Tang sect's glory isn't completely dependent on this tournament. I would also like to give my all, but what if we sustain more injuries? We might even die if things go awry. We are without Shrek's halo as protection this time, and we are also archenemies with the Sun Moon team. I understand all of your intentions, but I don't agree that we should go all out against them at such a time. If we give up on this round, we can still qualify. We'll also have more time to rest. We'll be able to fight in the round-robin stage in our best state. After she established her relationship with Hua Yuhao, Wang Donga rarely opened her mouth in a discussion. Hua Yuhao's words were usually more defining. Her sudden speech left everyone a little stunned. There were 4 Soul Emperors and 3 Soul Kings among Shrek's 7 monsters. While Wang Donga was the youngest, she was a Soul Emperor that had twin martial souls. No one could neglect her presence. Jiang Nannan furrowed her brow and asked, Donga, are we going to give up our glory just like that? Wang Donga said, Sister Nannan, true glory lies in being the champions. This is only an elimination round. Even if we give up, no one will underestimate us. This is purely tactical. It's true that I'm partly selfish, too. I don't want Yuhao to go all out against the Sun Moon team right now, while only his right arm can move. I've already struggled to accept his decision to compete in this tournament. He's only in this state because of me. I don't want him to get into any sort of harm again. If all of you choose to fight the Sun Moon team, I'll have no objections. However, my only request is that I be the first to compete. Wang Donga revealed a cold and ferocious look in her eyes after she finished her last sentence. All this while, she had been labeled as Shrek Academy's genius along with Hua Yuhao. However, Hua Yuhao had been shining too brightly, and made many important contributions to the academy. Along with her tendency to stay away from the limelight, her talents had been concealed. Among the 4 who had suggested that they fight the Sun Moon team, He Kai-tu was originally not very willing. His thinking was very similar to Wang Donga. Furthermore, he also knew that both he and Hua Yuhao had to compete in the underground tournament too. Xiao Xiao, Hua Yuhao, and Wang Donga came from the same class. The 3 of them had passed the academy's test many years ago and they shared a close relationship with one another. Right now, Xiao Xiao's gaze became gentler as she saw how Wang Donga stood out for Hua Yuhao. As for Shu Sanxia, he only followed Jiang Nannan's wish. Jiang Nannan was the key figure out of the 4 of them, and so Wang Donga directed all her words to Nannan. Jiang Nannan bit her lip lightly, and looked at Wang Donga with a stubborn look in her eyes. She eventually sighed and said, all right. However, we must never give up if we meet Team Sun Moon again, no matter the circumstance. We must give it our all. Wang Donga heaved a sigh of relief, and took 2 steps forward to hug Jiang Nannan. Sister Nannan, thanks. Her nose was getting a little runny, and tears almost flowed. Jiang Nannan hugged her back and said as she smiled, I didn't consider the facts thoroughly. There's no need to thank me. Donga, it'd be great if you were a guy. Shu Sanxia started coughing tremendously to one side. He was watching Wang Donga with a more alert look in his eyes. Yuhao, you let your wife court my wife. Is that very interesting for you? Who's your wife? It's all because of your unlucky hand. From now on, you won't be allowed to draw lots anymore. Jiang Nannan glared at him, and he turned honest-looking and selfless once again. Hua Yuhao didn't speak from the start until the end. However, his gaze was filled with softness as he watched Wang Donga. Rationally speaking, it wasn't the best time to fight the Sun Moon team. However, he wasn't going to object if everyone wanted to go all out against them. I still need to ask eldest senior regarding this matter before we decide, Hua Yuhao said. Bei Bei agreed with Wang Donga. After that, Hua Yuhao told the tournament organizing committee that they had decided to give up the fight during this elimination round. What? The Tang sect has given up against us? Xiao Hongchen and Meng Hongchen were astonished when they heard the news. Xiao Hongchen muttered, does this mean we've beaten Shrek? They are Shrek Academy's stronger team. Besides the team leader, the rest of Shrek's team isn't that strong this time around. Meng Hongchen pursed her lips and said, brother, don't lie to yourself. How are you shameless enough to claim that we've beaten them without fighting them at all? Aren't you embarrassed? However, isn't it a good thing that they've given up? If we fight them, we won't have it easy either. The future rounds will also be closer and closer together, which will affect our chances. Xiao Hongchen laughed bitterly. Just let me feel good in my heart, all right? Champions. Are you still thinking of becoming the champions right now? Don't you know that, as he spoke to that point, he paused for a moment, and his eyes were filled with resentment. Meng Hongchen laughed coldly and said, why not? Will they necessarily win? I don't believe we can't beat them if we go all out. Brother, with your lack of confidence, I'm afraid that you've already. Xiao Hongchen covered her mouth and stopped her from speaking. Secret. This is a secret. Meng Hongchen groaned at him and said, all right, I won't say anything. The Tang sect didn't give up because they were scared. Didn't you realize that they have no substitutes? They are more afraid than us that their abilities will be depleted. That's why they chose to give up. We'll win if we face them. Since they conceded defeat once, there's no way they can beat us again. Xiao Hongchen caressed his sister's head and said, I'm only praying that you won't meet Wang Dong. Are you confident that you won't be merciful on him when you meet him? Meng Hongchen's face turned red, and she retorted in embarrassment, so what? One fight doesn't say anything. I like him, so what? Compared to him, all other guys are trash. Xiao Hongchen was speechless as he touched his nose. He replied, your criticism is too broad. I'll tell Grandpa. Meng Hongchen snorted at him and said, I'll just add these 4 words, of the same age. Anyway, you are nothing compared to him in my eyes. Xiao Hongchen was angry. It's hard to keep a woman at home. I'm your biological brother after all. How can you say something like that about me? The third elimination round of the tournament was too tragic, and was beyond the expectations of most people. The fights were very intense, as every team wanted to book their place in the round-robin stage. In this round, 5 people were killed, and more than 20 people were seriously injured. On average, every clash between competing teams involved some form of casualty. With regard to the situation, many teams also pointed out their doubts about the referees to the tournament's organizing committee. The Sun Moon Empire was also vexed over this issue. They could only promise everyone that their referees would try to control the rhythm of the fights in the future rounds so as to reduce the number of casualties. Although the Tang sect conceded defeat in this round, they were able to qualify for the round-robin stage because of Huo Yuhao's dominant performance in the first elimination round and the stable foundation they had set in the second round. The only downside was that their ranking was quite low. After the third elimination round ended, there was a one-day break before the lot drawing ceremony for the round-robin stage was held. The Radiant City Elite Soul Engineering Tournament organized by the Underground World also officially commenced on the same day. When Huo Yuhao and the other 3 arrived at the Green Hotel, Chenan was already at the door to welcome them. Now that they had the exact time, they didn't arrive late. You are here. Chenan looked at Huo Yuhao and hurriedly stepped forward before bowing respectfully. Yes, Huo Yuhao snorted. Have you done what I asked you to do? Chenan hurriedly said, don't worry. It's all prepared. I didn't reveal that you're here to compete to anyone, either. Follow me to the VIP room to rest first. I'll pass the materials that I've sorted out to you. Please lead the way. Huo Yuhao maintained his cool look. Chenan brought them to a room in the basement before instructing his subordinates to serve them fruits and drinks. He retrieved a document before passing it to Huo Yuhao. Huo Yuhao received the document and glanced at it before saying, explain it to me. Yes. Chenan replied. This tournament was organized to facilitate the participation of ordinary people by exploiting the massive crowds currently in Radiant City. As a result, we've already opened the betting tables, starting from the qualifiers. This round of betting is very simple. As there are too many soul engineers, 119, betting on single individuals can be very troublesome. It's better to bet on the number of people remaining, or whether there'll be an odd or even number of people remaining. There are also multiple bets. The smaller the number of multiples, the lower the payout. The greater the number of multiples, the higher the payout. For example, your payout will be 1.3 times your wager if the number of soul engineers who qualify for the next round is a multiple of 2. If you bet directly on the number of soul engineers who qualify, your wager will be multiplied by this number to generate your returns. As he spoke, he passed a black gold card to Huo Yuhao and said, this is the money from your previous bet. We've already generated your payout. Don't worry, I'll be the only one who knows everything related to you, and I won't report to any superiors. However, I need to warn you that I'll only be the chief referee for the first 2 rounds. From the 3rd round onwards, there'll be a more authoritative figure here to referee. Huo Yuhao nodded and replied, please tell me about the rewards. Yes. If you pass the qualifiers, your reward will be 5,000 gold soul coins. I've already added it into your card. The winner of today's round can choose one of the 28 rare metals that we have on offer as rewards. You can take 1 kilo of it. If you win in the next round, you can take 3 kilos. Every round will see an increase. When there are fewer than 10 people left, we'll introduce 5 very rare metals. We haven't decided what the detailed quantities will be though. The main show will be our final fight against the other 2 powers. At that time, all 3 parties will send their victorious soul engineer to compete in the finals. The eventual champion will obtain 1% of our revenue made in this tournament. At the same time, the champion can leave with 100 kilos of rare metals. He can choose whatever amount of each rare metal to leave with, as long as the final number comes up to 100 kilos maximum. In addition, he'll also be rewarded with 1 kilo each of 5 special and rare metals. Altogether, it will be worth more than 10 million gold soul coins. It's because of these rewards that many outstanding soul engineers have been drawn to this tournament. Since you and your brother are both Class 6 soul engineers, it's highly likely that you can win this tournament. I rate the both of you highly. Huo Yuhao sighed slightly and said, it's a pity that we can't bet on a single individual today. What are we competing in today? Chenan looked gloomy. He thought to himself, while you're a huge figure, isn't it a little ludicrous that you don't know what the tournament is about even though you're here to pit your skills against the others? While he thought of this, he didn't dare to voice it out loud. He hurriedly said, in this round, soul engineers are required to create a soul tool based on the given topic. The higher the quality, the better it is. As this is the first round, we are providing all the resources and all the soul engineers can leave with their created soul tools, but the requirements are a little stricter. There's a slightly more difficult obstacle to overcome. Huo Yuhao was a little impatient. Let's cut the crap. I want to know what this topic is about. He was trying to go through the back door. However, Chenan found it normal for him to act in this manner. He hurriedly said, this round is about the creation of a milk bottle. It has to be completed within 6 hours. The milk bottle must at least be class 3 and above. Anyone who can't complete this task will be eliminated. It was a class 3 soul tool, but creating a milk bottle was very complex. It was comparable to an ordinary class 4 soul tool. It was a much tougher test than the qualifiers. Huo Yuhao nodded and said, interesting. You can leave first. Inform us when the tournament begins. Yes. Chenan acknowledged his words and left the room. He Kai-Tu was afraid that there were soul tools being used to eavesdrop on them, and only shot Huo Yuhao an inquisitive look. Huo Yuhao's thoughts suddenly surfaced in his mind. I want Chenan to be more convinced that we are from the Holy Ghost sect. Elder brother, let's do it this way later. Chenan was the chief referee, and still had to arrange many things for the tournament. He was naturally very busy. His assistant was the one who came to notify Huo Yuhao and He Kai-Tu that the tournament was about to begin. Wang Donga and Nana remained in the resting area. He Kai-Tu pushed Huo Yuhao into the hall. They were no longer underestimated by the others now. At the end of the qualifiers, many people were astonished by the killing. Fortunately, it was only the qualifiers, and there weren't any important figures who came to watch. Otherwise, Chenan couldn't conceal the truth even if he wanted to. Everyone turned their attention away from Huo Yuhao when they saw him, and didn't dare to look at him. Although they didn't know how he did it, the way he had casually made a man's head explode was still too cruel. It wasn't just those VIP gamblers who showed more respect towards Huo Yuhao and He Kai-Tu. Even the working staff in the hall became more respectful when they saw the both of them. The Great King's death had happened only a few days ago. Although they didn't know who Huo Yuhao and He Kai-Tu were, Chenan had issued a gag order. No one wanted to be the second Great King. Under Chenan's guidance, Huo Yuhao and He Kai-Tu were led directly to the middle of a circular stage, a slightly more eye-catching spot. 2 metal tables were moved together, and their silvery white surfaces didn't reflect any light even under the illumination of the bright lamps. Apart from the various standard equipment used to create soul tools, there were more than 10 different types of metal on the stage. 3 of them were rare metals that were suitable for making the formation arrays of a milk bottle. The other 7 weren't that rare, but they were still high-level metals that commanded pretty high prices, and were also present in sufficient quantities. There were more than 3 kilos of these 7 metals, while there was more than 1 kilo of each of the 3 rare metals. It was a clear demonstration of the Duskwater Alliance's wealth. He Kai-Tu pushed Huo Yuhao behind one of the metal tables before he went to the other one. At this point, all the other competing soul engineers had already arrived. Chenan had deliberately arranged for the 2 of them to arrive last. Chenan's intentions was very kind, he didn't want them to wait around for others. However, the 2 of them also became the focus of all the gamblers. Silence. The tournament will officially begin in 5 minutes. I am the chief referee of this tournament. Let me reiterate the rules once again. To all visitors, no one is allowed to make a sound when the soul engineers are busy creating their soul tools. Anyone who flouts this rule will be kicked out. Please don't be worried. After this round, all the remaining soul engineers will be allowed to compete on the stage in successive rounds. We can use soul soundproofing barriers to block out any sound then, and all of you will be able to speak freely when that time comes. But I'll need all of you to exercise patience in this round. All soul engineers, please take note. I am going to announce the goal of this round. In this round, all of you will be required to create a soul tool based on a certain topic. You need to create a milk bottle that is class 3 or above. If you can create a class 4 milk bottle, you'll be exempted from the next round and advance directly to the 3rd round. You will be given 6 hours for this round. Whoever can't complete this task will be eliminated. Please get ready. This video will end here. Thank you for watching.